Yeah, as long as it doesn't get any deeper, we're good.
We're good.
Yeah. I missed you guys. I was away for a few weeks, and I missed you a lot. You are my church family, and I like being here. Let's open with our opening here. God of Advent, we turn our lives over to you this day. Speak your words of love into our hearts.
Come, Holy One, come into our midst.
And the call to worship? Come, let us prepare for a new advent of love among us.
Hatred and warfare, injustice and suffering are not the last word, for they are not of God.
We hear again the promise of peace, coming in the one who lived shalom among all people.
We come to embrace the new Advent, to be renewed in faith, hope, and love.
Well, we're going to do our hymns without music today, so that ought to be interesting, but I think they're familiar tunes, so we'll get by just fine. So our first hymn is "It Came Upon Midnight Clear," number 131 in the black hymn. And you may stand or sit, whichever is comfortable for you. Oh, and first of all, I want to welcome Richard Gilbert with us today. We're so glad you're here, Richard. And he dropped his wife at church and got out here early. We love having you here, Richard.
Thank you. Nice to be here.
Yeah, thank you. It came upon the midnight clear, that glorious song of old, from angels bending near the earth to touch their hearts of gold. Peace on the earth, goodwill to all, great news of joy we bring. The world in solemn stillness lay to hear the angels sing. Still through the golden skies they come, with peaceful wings unfurled, and still their heavenly music flows o'er all the weary world. Above this sad lonely place, they bend on hovering wing, and ever o'er its battle sounds the blessed angels sing. And you beneath life's rushing load, whose forms are bending low, who toil along the climbing way with painful steps and slow. Look out for glad and golden hours, come swiftly on the wing. Oh, rest beside the weary road, and hear the angels sing. For though the days are hastening on, by prophet words foretold, when with the ever circling years come round the age of gold, when peace shall overcome the earth in God of new beginnings, we turn our attention to you this day. We struggle to make time for your Son in our busy schedules and homes. Forgive us, Lord. Come into our lives this Advent Sunday with hope, peace, love, and joy. Speak these words into our hearts so that our lives may become these sacred words. Bring us to fullness of life as we await the birth of the child in Bethlehem once again. In the name of the Christ child we pray. Amen.
And the assurance of grace.
We walk in the light of God's grace, the God of love, forgiveness, and repentance. Thanks be to God.
All right, so we're going to light the Advent candle of love today. Oh, it's over there. There's one right here. Me.
I apologize for forgetting to turn these. And I just ran out. That's the last one.
Eleanor?
Mary Lynn.
Just look at me. Okay. It doesn't matter, Ellie. God knows we're trying.
If at first you don't succeed, skydiving's not for you.
God is making the final preparations for an amazing thing. We await the Messiah, our bringer of hope, our Prince of Peace, our leader of love.
We celebrate the coming of Christ with the lighting of the Advent candles.
At first, there was the frail light of a single candle of hope, daring to pierce through the darkness of despair and sin.
Then there was the candle of peace, the gentle and persistent flame, the one that left in God's deep and tranquil spirit.
Today, we light the candle of love. No other word so completely captures what we know of our God.
For God so loved the world that a child was given.
A Savior was made in the form of love incarnate.
We gather then in Christian love. We await God's perfect and enduring love once more this Christmas season.
God is with us. With us.
Emmanuel.
You have two more to go.
Oh,
The pink one's for today.
oh, nobody told me.
This is not been a very well organized Sunday, unfortunately.
So another one?
Yes.
Yeah, sure.
There you go, perfect.
I don't know the tune to this, though. I guess we sung it with Emmanuel. So we'll just say it.
Yeah, works for me.
Emmanuel,
Emmanuel, his name is called Emmanuel. God with us, revealed in us, his name is called Emmanuel.
All right, can I have the children come forward, please? Actually, we need to go out back and grab some things, so she'll do that. You boys want to come with us, and we're going to go out and get some things to bring in for the manger scene.
Hey. So far, so good, but the day's early. So we have the angel and one of the shepherds today to go with the animals. Super, can you put that, that would be a trough for the animals to feed out of? And we have the manger. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Maybe have a seat. You can sit up here if you'd like. Well, it's so nice to see everybody today. We're going to have a fun day. We're going to make some crafts after church. We've got pizza coming. And lots of desserts out there. So nice to see everybody. How are you, Haley and Isabella? And it's good to see Lindsay and Caitlin and Cooper and Cole. I had the right beginning sound. So it's nice to see you. How's school going with everybody? Good. Are you doing some holiday stuff at school? A little bit, some singing. Are you in chorus?
We don't do chorus this year.
Oh, what grade are you in?
Fifth, I'm in fourth.
Okay, so they started at fifth. Do you have a chorus?
Yeah, I did a chorus concert on Thursday.
Thursday. And you're in sixth now? Lindsay, what grade are you in now?
Third.
Third and second. Wow. Second, third,
Third,
fourth,
fourth.
sixth, kindergarten. Yes, and preschool.
So in fifth grade, I would be doing a chorus concert, but in fourth grade to kindergarten, we do like a concert. So we did that on Thursday.
Oh, okay. It's so much fun. You have to get together and share all the music. Well, our mangers for our barn are in here for the baby Jesus is filling up, and we're getting closer and closer to that Christmas day. Do you know who brought this lovely little manger scene here? I don't either. It's beautiful. It's just beautiful. Well, I'm a little off. I was thinking that today was the Christmas of joy, the Sunday of joy. It really doesn't matter. What is the difference between happiness and joy? Are they the same thing, or are they different? You think they're the same?
I know there's a difference, but I don't know how to explain it. Maybe like joy is when you love what you're doing, and like happiness is when like if you were having Thanksgiving dinner and you're with all your family, that would be happiness, but joy.
So okay, go back to what you said joy was.
So I think joy is like when you like when you enjoy what you're doing and you're having fun while you're doing it, and then happiness which is just like when you're with your family and having fun.
Okay. To me, joy is a little deeper. Like you said, it's more in your heart. It's part of your being. You live with joy, and that's the way God wants us to live, because He has lots of joy. You know, joy to the world, the Lord has come. You know, so let everybody be excited. Something you have within you all the time. And happiness can kind of come and go, can't it? Some days we have really happy days. And we can be doing something in our happy day, and wham, something happens, and we're sad. And then something else can happen, and we might be mad. And then we might become happy again. Okay? There's lots of feelings that we go through in a day. So happiness, I think, kind of ebbs and flows. It comes and goes. But joy, if you carry joy in your heart,
It's always there, isn't it? It's part of who you are, like you said, this, and doing something that brings you joy in your heart all the time. That's what teaching did for me. I had so much joy. There were days that I got happy, and there were some days when I was a little grumpy. I'm sure the kids can tell you that. And there were days that I, might be tired and a little grumpy that day too. But most of all, I knew I had the joy of God with me every day. To kind of demonstrate that, I have a little experiment. I hope it works. I'm not going to blow up the church or anything. But I have two balloons, and one says happiness, and one says joy. They look the same, don't they? Okay? So, let's see. This is happiness. Oh, come on. Well, it kind of shrunk, didn't it? Or it might even blow up. Okay? Now, this worked last night. Well, whatever. Okay, I did try this. But when you have joy in your heart, it's not happening, is it? Is it shrinking? It's not blowing up. It's not shrinking. It's staying. So the joy stays in your heart. Happiness can come and go. Madness, anger, hurt, sadness can come and go. But if you have God in your heart, Jesus in your heart, you will have that joy all the time, just like this balloon didn't do anything. Now, in my kitchen, that balloon blew up. I don't know, maybe they knew I was in church today. So, let's continue our joy today by saying the Lord's Prayer. Our
Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory, forever.
Everybody's sick of seeing me today.
No, we enjoy it.
This moment, we are going to join together in congregational prayer. Let me read ones that we've received over the past couple of weeks, and then I'll ask for more. This week, we heard from Susan, who wants prayers for her friend Marcy, who has a kidney cancer, and Susan's children for grieving the loss of their father. Bob and Linda, who have COVID. Pat asks prayers for LaRue, who has a very bad case of the flu. Jan asks prayers for Margaret and Roger B., who are both suffering with COVID. Michelle asks continued prayers for her father-in-law, Ramon, who has had surgery due to cancer, is now in assisted living and not doing well. Stephanie asks prayers for her former student, Dennis, who has eye issues. Carolyn offers prayers of thanksgiving for friend Max, who is severely burned and is now home recovering. Char H. requests prayers for Tanya following the death of her father-in-law, who was buried last week. Tanya's mother died in July. We pray for her during this time of grief and sorrow. For Ann W., who is recovering from surgery and has been hospitalized due to COVID and flu. LaRue asks prayers for her cousin Debbie and her daughter's father-in-law Ed, both who have multiple cancers. Stephanie's grandson Junior, who's struggling in middle school. Pat's college friend Jane, who fractured her hip. For Sally, who's suffering with bad knee pain. Her MRI results showed calcium buildup, inflammation, but no need for surgery. Thank you. father. Paul F., who undergoing radiation treatment for a spot in his lungs. Lord,
Hear our prayer.
Are there any others we care to lift up? Deb?
Prayers for Beth, she's a friend of my parents. She just got done with chemo and is now starting radiation for cancer.
For Bev?
Beth,
B-E-V?
yep.
Got it. Who's undergoing chemo and radiation for cancer. Anyone else? Donna?
I have addresses for Ann Ward and Wilma Spike, who have both, Wilma's in a home now in Newark, and Ann is in Leroy. And I need extra copies, so if anybody would wish to, I'm gonna put them by the bulletin board out by in the kitchen, and if they would like to take one and get a card for them for the holiday, would be
Thank you.
nice.
That's very nice.
Thank you.
Diane has the addresses for Ann Ward and for Wellness School. Oh my gosh, my brain. So that if you see her after church, she's going to put them by the bulletin board, so if you send them holiday cards, it would probably help them a lot. Donna?
For the James Miller family, Jim graduated with me, so he's still young. And he died.
Absolutely.
He died this past week, and so he lost his family.
I'm sorry, I couldn't hear
And
you.
we think of his family this week.
What happened?
He passed away.
He passed away. I'm sorry. Donna's offering prayers for James Miller's family. He passed away this week. And they need your prayers. Anyone else? Linda?
Sandy, she's a friend of mine. She started her second round of chemo. And my neighbor, what's her name? This
I love
is terrible.
several ones.
She has melanoma and stage 4 cancer. Mary.
Okay, Linda's asking prayers for Sandy, who's on her second round of chemo, and for Mary, who's got stage 4 cancer, her neighbor. Mike?
Special prayer for all the men and women in the service who are far away from home this Christmas season. Keep them in your thoughts and prayers. Keep them safe.
If you didn't hear him, he's asking prayers for all the people in the military who are obviously far away from home and their families for Christmas. Anyone else? Marion? Marion?
I'm sorry. I didn't hear, has LaRue Fletcher been mentioned?
Yes.
Yes.
Anyone else?
Prayers for our nephew Ryan, who's in trouble and facing consequences for indiscretion.
Lord, hear our prayer.
For your prayer. Anyone else? Lord, hear
Hear
our
our
prayer.
prayer.
God of blessing, you created us to pray, to care, and to show compassion. You call us to live and serve beyond ourselves. You call us to forgiveness, restoration, and renewal. You alone bring so many possibilities out of hopeless situations. Guide our hands and hearts of hope as we minister to the sick of body and spirit, the lonely, the defeated. Walk with us this Advent season as hope is born once again in Bethlehem. In the name of the Father, Son, and Holy Spirit, we pray. Amen.
morning again.
Good morning.
I'm not much of a mathematician, but I did figure out that it was 72 years ago that I gave my first sermon from this pulpit.
Wow.
I'm still standing, but barely. And didn't plan on the snow this morning either, I must confess. But I'm always glad to be with you in this familiar place. As I read from the Gospel of Luke, familiar words, but I ask you to listen through the prism of the calm, the calmness, the quietness, the stillness that is in this passage. There's some parts maybe not quite so much, but just listen to it through the words of my sermon title, Taking the World by Calm. And it came to pass in those days that there went out a decree from Caesar Augustus that all the world should be taxed. And this taxing was first made when Cyrenius was governor of Syria. And all went to be taxed, everyone into their own city. And Joseph also went up from Galilee out of the city of Nazareth into Judea, unto the city of David, which is called Bethlehem, because he was of the house and lineage of David, to be taxed with Mary, his espoused wife, being great with child. And so it was that while they were there, the days were accomplished that she should be delivered. And she brought forth her firstborn son, and wrapped him in swaddling clothes, and laid him in a manger, because there was no room for them in the inn. And there were in the same country shepherds abiding in the field, keeping watch over their flocks by night. And lo, the angel of the Lord came upon them, and the glory of the Lord shone round about them, and they were sore afraid. And the angel said unto them, Fear not, for behold, I bring you tidings of great joy, which shall be to all people. For unto you is born this day in the city of David a Savior, which is Christ the Lord. And this shall be a sign unto you. You shall find the babe wrapped in swaddling clothes, lying in a manger. And suddenly there was with the angels a multitude of the heavenly host, praising God and saying, Glory be to God in the highest, and on earth peace, goodwill to all people. I hope you could grasp the general quiet, the calm of that picture. Taking the world by calm, and Advent meditation. When he was a young man, the British author George Bernard Shaw invented a society for the abolition of Christmas. On his 90th birthday, Shaw said he was still the self-elected president of the society, and there were no other members. There are times, I must confess, when I would join that society for the abolition of Christmas. So disillusioned am I by the way that we Americans celebrate this holy day. While some love the hustle and bustle and the constant crooning of carols from, well, October, November on, I do not. It almost seems that we can't wait to get through Thanksgiving before we come to Christmas. My Christmas highlight, I confess, is when the calmness comes. The blessed calm of a Christmas Eve candlelight celebration, quiet gathering of family and friends, the welcome break between the hectic fall and the soon-to-be energetic new year. It seems that the earth really pauses to catch its breath at this time of the year, and so do I. On this particular hinge of the year, the winter solstice. And And there is nothing quite so quieting as the Bristol Hills through which I drove this morning, although when I wrote these words, I was talking about the calm of the snow-covered fields. At the time, there were no snow-covered fields, and I thought, how will these words resonate when there's no snow? Well, somehow I was either prophetic or very powerful. And snow glistens on the fields.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, also glistens on the roadways. But there is nothing quite so peaceful as looking up at the mystical, moist night air in which hangs the moon. Last night we went to a Christmas concert, a Madrigalia singing group in Rochester at the Methodist Church there. And when we came out of the service, we looked up and sure enough there was the moon, shrouded in mist and fog, but still quite beautiful. A few years ago, my denomination, the Unitarian Universalist Association, asked for people to write about darkness, the positive dimensions of darkness. And as I thought about it, this particular phrase occurred to me, kept occurring to me, the nourishing dark. And so I wrote these words. We pause in the holy quiet of the nourishing dark. The daylight hours are short now. The darkness overwhelms light. We miss the sparkling daylight hours and wonder if we can wait or if our patience will at last give out. We yearn for their swift return. But we forget the nourishing dark at our peril. There is mystery in the dark to be probed. There is the adventure of that which cannot yet be known, cannot be seen, can only be experienced in the soul. There is deepness in the dark, impenetrable and inviting. In the darkness we rest our bodies and our souls. We escape that which distracts and confuses. We come face to face with ourselves. We come into the deep places of our being, and so we find that darkness is not mere absence of light. Darkness is not simply an interval between days. Darkness is the softness of things, the blessed quiet of the night. May we not bemoan the dark, but relish it. May we feel its powerful presence and rejoice in its mystical embrace. May we celebrate the deep and nourishing dark. I remember the quietness of my childhood Christmas Eves. We were just three. There was no stable, only an old country house just a few yards from here, with a father and a mother and a son. The tree, of course, was up and decorated, packages carefully placed underneath, all wrapped. But for me, it was time for bed. To sleep in that interminable childhood sleep of Christmas Eve in the delicious darkness. My mother, who would have been 111 years old this last Friday, my mother helped me and prepared the cookie and milk for Santa Claus, for his nourishment on his journeys. And amazingly, it was always gone in the morning. Sometime in the darkness of a child's Christmas Eve, Santa came. I dare not wonder, I dare not ask, because we had an old wrought iron stove with a stovepipe about that much in diameter. And I wondered how Santa could be so svelte as to slip down that chimney and leave presents beneath the tree. Nevertheless, Christmas Eve, he came and gratefully, I am sure, consumed his treat with no thought of cholesterol or calories. And I never, in retrospect, I never could figure out how my father always stayed so slim. How my father would lift me on his shoulders. He would bend over so I could kiss my mother goodnight and wish her a Merry Christmas. And then, as he put it, we would go up the golden stairs into the cold of the upstairs in my room. Because in those days we did not heat the upstairs, it was cold. But I did not mind, because my blankets were about that thick, and once I nestled under them, I did not mind the cold at all. And there in the warmth of my excited body, I soon fell asleep. Here in the darkness, I at last managed the sleep of rich anticipation. It was there I felt the quiet calm of Christmas Eve and the warm embrace of my parents' love, and in this wonderful town of Baptist Hill, Bristol. Who knows? How I remember the embrace of the nourishing dark, the exquisite calmness of it all. All at last, I recall all of this in nostalgia. I confess to a severe case of sentimentality this morning, coming into these familiar places. But after all, it's the sentimental season, isn't it? Mm-hmm. Clearly, that is not the style or the way of our culture. We are urged to take the world by storm. We have finally finished what passes for a political campaign. Thank God it's over. Little calmness there. We are motivated to work incessantly, to get ahead, to be aggressive in all we do. If calm is to celebrate, it is always the calm before the storm of ceaseless competition in the marketplace, our overfull schedules, which drive us to a kind of a compulsive craziness, of shouted commercials, frenetic emails, and these oh so urgent text messages. And it is, of course, in this time and place that Hollywood makes its contribution to the Christmas season with some of the most awful movies you can imagine. Even the beloved Bambi I read, and I have the review right here in my book, turns to violence in the movie Bambi, The Reckoning. Dr. Seuss's Grinch becomes a murderer. Not just a Grinch that stole Christmas, but a murderer. As if we did not already have enough violence in the world. Our Xbox games glorify the violence. As one movie critic put it, Christmas will be bloody this year. How sad. And then I'm drawn to the fabled story of the blessed calm one Christmas Eve in Germany in 1914, during a brutal, bloody battle in the First World War. It was 1914. On one front, a German soldier started singing in the cold, Stille Nacht, Heilige Nacht, Silent Night, Holy Night. And the soldiers, the British and the American and other Allied soldiers, responded by singing Christmas carols. And despite the anger of the generals, who my son last night told me were reassigned because they could not get the men to fight and kill each other, the soldiers observed a spontaneous truce. They buried the dead, sang carols, exchanged food, gifts, and drink, and played football, soccer to us. Would that we might repeat in this year Christmas in the trenches, in our land, and in our world. Well, I'm not quite ready to join Shaw's Society for the Abolition of Christmas. Not quite yet. But I do suggest that during this holy season, we consider not taking the world by storm, but blessing the world by calm. During the summer of 1998, I visited the Church of the Holy Sepulchre in Bethlehem. While the actual birthplace of Jesus may well be Nazareth, not Bethlehem, as scholars debate, it doesn't really matter, for this church exudes the beauty of human birth. Depicted on these great walls of this large church are the manger scenes, expressing the variety of art from around the world. In one, the Serene Madonna is Japanese. And another, the bewildered Joseph is Latino. And yet in a third, the innocent infant is African. And yet another house of art, there is a Native American nativity in which the three wise men bring corn, not gold, frankincense, and myrrh. In a Spanish nativity, all the biblical figures are children, including the wise men, who bring meat and fruit. A number of years ago, the National Catholic Reporter launched a contest for people to create art depicting Jesus. What would be the indicative picture of Jesus for the millennium? The winner was entitled Jesus for the People, a painting of a dark-skinned Jesus by a Vermont artist who used a woman model. She said of her work, "At first glance, he is a black or African-American Jesus, but looking more deeply, you see many people in it." The painting shows a robed and haloed Jesus against a pink background, or a yin-yang symbol representing perfect balance, and a feather symbolizing Native American spirituality. As Sister Wendy Beckett, you may remember her series on art years and years ago on public television. She was the genial host of that wonderful series. And she wrote in a haunting image of a peasant Jesus, dark, thick-lipped, looking out on us with ineffable dignity, with sadness, but with confidence. But as the National Catholic Reporter put it, those who conceived this contest, if everybody looks at it and says, "Oh, very nice," it means it will have failed. In that sense, it did not fail. This picture of Jesus did not fail because it stoked a worldwide controversy about what Jesus in fact, might have looked like. How unfortunate that too often, too many people seem not so much concerned with what Jesus taught us as what he looked like. Taking the teaching seriously as his image, now that would really stir up controversy. What captivates me about this amazing diversity of images is the extraordinary calm emanating from each one of them. A blessed peacefulness. Whatever the details of Jesus' birth, we do know that the historical context was a difficult one, a violent one. Here in the rush of a turbulent history was the hushed reverence of new life born into the world. For me, that sense of calm carries on in the adult life of that prophet from Nazareth. My sense of him as Jesus, the gentle Jew, the man for others, the non-anxious presence in the midst of tumult. And so while the world is caught up in the hectic rush of Christmas and the unknowns of a new year, it is good to let calmness prevail for a time. The Christmas story itself is a narrative of calm and beauty in the dark night sky, the nourishing dark. It flies in the face of a commercial extravaganza. It breaks in upon our compulsive busyness as a welcome reminder of what matters most and what matters least of all. And that is what endears this season to me, when my world, our world, is caught up in the rush of historical and often violent events, personal haste, and hectic pace. Where is that moment of calm? The gentle word spoken when one feels a sense of judgment toward another person. The forgiving hand on the shoulder when we are angry with people, even those people we love most. The peaceful presence when tension is in the air. The perspective that gives us a sense of proportion as to what is important to us and what is not. And so let us endeavor, insofar as it is possible, ever to be gentle in a rough and tumble world, always to be a little kinder than necessary, so that we may not so much take the world by storm as bless the world by calm in this holy season. Amen.
Amen.
It is my responsibility to remind you that this is the offering to support this church and its endeavors. And since I am told by those who raise funds that when people smile, they are more generous, I will leave you with this semi-biblical quote. The Lord loveth a cheerful giver, but also accepteth from grouch. The morning offering will now be received. Having no musician, we will sing the doxology together, which will all please rise. Who can start it off?
Praise God from whom all blessings flow. Praise God, all creatures here below. Praise God above the heavenly host. Praise Father, Son, and Holy Ghost. Amen.
It's joy time. Come forward, bring your joys. We all have joys. On a personal note, my joy is for Richard. Thank you. That was very inspiring. I never thought about the darkness. I try not to. So that's my joy. Sir.
My joy is seeing everyone here this morning on this beautiful Sunday. And My other joy is that Dr. Richard Gilbert spoke today. His mother was my Sunday school teacher.
Happy birthday.
Yeah. My other joy is that I got my turkey or my fan yesterday. My wife and I went to Souders in Seneca Falls. Very nice place. I suggest you go. And the other $2 is just because.
I too am glad to see how we can all pull together no matter what happens in here. Somehow pull it all off. And I too appreciate your service. I love hearing different people's versions and how they interpret things. So, amen. Amen.
Hi. Well, this is for my granddaughter Allison because she's just so much fun to be with every week. And we went Christmas tree hunting yesterday, and it was a hunt. We went to Hangies, it's up in Naples, and you're driving through fields and forests, but it's a beautiful, beautiful place, and you just get out of your vehicle and there's your tree. Cool. It was a very good experience. And this is every year we do Christmas cards, and I come across a lot of names that people I don't think about through the rest of the year. And it's kind of sad. Jim Hendy is one of them. I think of Jim every Christmas. I should think of him more often. And this is just for the season.
Next. So far, I like the way everything is said, so that's good. Thank you, Reverend Gilbert. The joy that I feel between happiness and joy. When I walk into the church, I feel the love and the calmness, and I enjoy seeing the children up here. But when I hear those children, every single one of them say the Lord's Prayer aloud so I can hear them in the back of the church, that brings me more joy than anything. And we all sound very good singing this morning. Thank you for your help, even though we do not have an organ. And I went to my first swim meet the other night. Carl's a senior, so he's really trying very hard to teach the other boys, because this year there are only 7 boys on the Marcus Whitman team, and they swam against one that had 20 kids. So there was no way they were going to win, but each one of them poured their hearts out to do their best they could, and I was real proud of every one of them.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Richard, especially for the permission to be a little nostalgic. I think the Advent workshop is a tradition in this church that's been going on for decades. Thanks to Gloria and Linda and Mary Lynn and Fran and whoever else is helping make it happen today. Hazel Gilbert had a lot to do with establishing that tradition here. My memory is of Elizabeth Jones overseeing the cookie decorating table in the church kitchen, which is now our church office. And to my child's eyes, there were thousands of cookies there waiting to be decorated with garish colored frosting. Our addition to the tree today is a little pair of ice skates. The blades on the skates are paper clips, one of Hazel Gilbert's crafts. She gave this to our mom decades ago.
This is for the joy of having Richard here today to lead us, and special joy of we will be saying a little bit of a farewell to Carol. She'll be leaving for Arizona in about a week or so, and I just want to say here how much joy you bring us. Every time I
text or call. She's at the ready to make cookies for us, for our biker group, for today, for frosting cookies, for memorial services. So Carol, this is a big thank you to you. We'll miss you, but we know you'll be back. And yes, this church is a church of joy, happiness, and togetherness, because we can pull anything together.
I think we do. Sir. Sir.
Oh, sir, no, don't call me sir, I work for a living. Special joy and special thanks for God for bringing our grandchildren to us this weekend to help us cut down our Christmas tree and drag it in the house and string it full of decorations and bring joy and wonder in the house, even though Miles puts everything on one branch. It's still very important to us, okay? And the tree lighted up the room is wonderful, and then they all snuggled and nestled in their beds and fell asleep in the quiet and calm evening until Lindsay went, and then I knew everything was safe. Thank you.
Announcements. Please note I didn't see joy, joy, joy. I spared you on that one. The announcements this week. Pat, can I ask you a question? Has everybody turned their budget in on time? We have all our budgets. Today's, no, next week.
Yeah, next week.
Do we have any budgets yet?
We do. We have some that are coming in early, so we're looking forward to tying it up next week.
Yay. So that's an important deadline next week. Thursday is our little Christmas service. Anybody who's feeling lost, no matter how long ago, still feels it and would like to come and have a nice, quiet service. It'll be Thursday at 6:30, I believe. Linda, do you want to say anything about the angel tree? I know you gave an announcement.
Well, the gifts are due next Sunday, and we've got a lot out there already, and every angel's been taken care of, so that's just, I mean, again, we can do it. And there's extra gift tags out there, because sometimes you don't get just one gift, you get another gift. Just make sure you put the child's name on the tag so we know who the gift's going to go to. That's the only thing that's the big one there. Other than that, we're set to go. So, thank you.
Good job.
Thank you. We have an announcement from Sally, the sign-up sheet for liturgists. Pat, do you have something you want to throw in?
Just that the sign-up sheet for liturgist, reader, and fellowship hour is right on the cabinet table as you walk in. You get to sign up for the date that you want. So please take a good close look at it. And if there's any blanks left and we have to get it into our Bristol letter, then we're going to have to plug in names. So if you've got a date that you can do, please take a good long look. And it'll be there next week to the following week.
Thank you. All the rest of the announcements are obviously here. We also had a sheet from the Bristol Library. They want everybody to know all the wonderful things that are coming up, so that is included in the announcements. Please take a look. And that is it for announcements. So, we need to sing number 133 in the hymnal, A Little Town of Bethlehem. Please stand.
Oh, little town of Bethlehem, how still we see light above the deep and dreamless sleep. The silent stars go by, yet in the dark streets shine forth the everlasting light. The hopes and fears of all the years are met in you tonight. For Christ is born
the sky is gone, when the kings and princes are home, when the shepherds are back with their flock, the work of Christmas begins, to find the lost, to heal the broken, to feed the hungry, to release the prisoner, to rebuild the nation, to bring peace among people, to make music in the heart. Amen.
Amen.
The postlude is the sound of our voices greeting one another.